What the heck is an appraisal? Let's get started. Okay, so we see it in the news. It's been going on. I've talked about it in quarterly reports, things like that. What is going on with appraisals in the sense of racial disparities in terms of value? So an appraiser will go into a home. They might see pictures of African American families, and they might give that value different than should there have been photos of a Caucasian family or whatever it might be. But before we talk about that, because that's a very big concept, and so we really have to wrap our heads around, we have to first talk about what is an appraisal. So an appraisal is an opinion of value. Typically a bank does this during the purchasing or refinancing process as a way to protect themselves when they're giving out a loan, because they don't want to give a loan out for more than what the house is worth. So what does an appraiser do? Well, the first step is they identify the highest and best use of the property. Typically, if it's a single family home or a condo, whatever, the highest and best use is to live in it. If they look at 2 to 4 units, they look at other duplexes, but they also do look at it from an income approach, but that's a whole nother segment we can talk about later. For the sake of conversation, let's just stick with single family homes. So the appraiser will go in and say, okay, I'm right now sitting in a house, 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,000 square feet in Sherman Oaks, north of Ventura Boulevard. Let's get real specific there. So what an appraiser will do is they will go look for homes in Sherman Oaks, 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,000 square feet, north of Ventura Boulevard, and see what those homes sold for. And their goal is to make as little adjustments as possible. Adjustments meaning if the house is bigger, okay, well, how much bigger, and do I need to affect the value for that, right? So I've seen appraisers do $150 a square foot for the house. And before you start freaking out, like, well, I thought it was $800. It's because they have a separate line item for the lot. They have a separate line item for bedroom and bathroom. They have a separate line item for condition and quality. So they look at all those things. It is a judgment call. That's where this gets a little tricky. It's not exact science. What they look at is say, okay, the house I'm sitting in right now needs a lot of love. So I'm gonna label this what they call condition and quality. It's on a 5 scale, 1 being basically brand new construction, 5 basically being a tear down. So a fixture might be like a 4 typically. So they might say, okay, it's condition 4, quality 3. 3 is average. Then if they see something that's in better shape, they'll say, okay, well, that house sold for $1 million. It costs $100,000 to do the fixes. So I'm going to knock off $100,000. Now the house I'm sitting in is now worth $900,000, right? Because it's in worse condition. So they had to make that adjustment. But some appraisers might go in and say, I'm only going to give it $50,000. I'm only going to give it $75,000. I may give it $1. It's really common for them to do a really, really bad job with accessory dwelling units. It costs $100,000 to convert, but they're giving recent appraisal $20,000. That was the only bump my client got, and he took away $10,000 for not having a garage. So effectively, he got $10,000 for an accessory dwelling unit when it costs almost $100,000. Ridiculous, I know, but I digress. So that's what they look at. They look at homes in an area, try to make as little adjustments as possible. So if you have a pool home, they're going to look for other homes that have pools and see what the value is. They'll come to a value. Then they'll also do a second way, which is called a cost approach, which is, all right, if I had to build this house, how much would it cost? What am I looking at? And the idea is to come to the same number. And it's usually within striking distance. So now going back to this whole issue of, is there racial disparity? The short answer is probably. Long answer is I haven't necessarily seen it in Los Angeles, but then again, there's thousands of homes being sold, and I'm not a part of every single home. I will tell you, I had a listing in Toluca Lake years ago where we had 2 appraisers go in. One gave it a value of $1.7 million. The other one came in at $2.3 million. Big difference. That's a really big difference. Same house, nothing was changed. But it happens. It's opinion value. Good thing we sold it for 2.3 million. Really happy about that. So are my clients. So, is there microaggressions that are influencing appraisers? Maybe, and it may be happening in other parts of the country. So, but I wanted really to touch on what is an appraisal, so that way you have a little bit of backstory on what their job's supposed to be. I'd love to get your thoughts. Do you think there's a problem with the appraisal industry? How would you change it? What are your thinking? Let's talk about it. This is what this is all about. It's all about a dialogue. So go ahead and comment below. Don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you're watching this. Share it with your friends. Love it, like it, hate it. Give me feedback. I'm doing this for you guys. This is been a project I've been working on for a long time, and I really want you guys to really enjoy this. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.